All right, let's go. All right, Tim, what are we going to talk about?
Well, we're going to take some questions, Dad, from the social media. Cindy's not here today, so it's just you and I. So this one is Leafs Bleed Blue. So he's a Leaf fan. It says, hey, Coach, there's a rumor going around that the Leafs are going to take the captaincy off of John Tavares and give it to Matthews.
It was perfect, by the way.
Right, and give it to Matthews. Do you think this will happen? And if so, is it a good move or a bad move?
I think it'd be a bad move. I think I really do believe this would be a bad move.
Yeah, that'd be kind of tough. Like that's a real slap in the face to Tavares.
That's a real slap in the face to Tavares, and I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah, I don't think Berube would let it happen.
I don't. Well, it'd be a bad mark on him right off the bat.
Yeah,
and he was the guy that, because if it does happen, it would be because of he gives the okay.
Yeah, and you said when we were talking about it earlier, you don't think Matthews would do that.
I don't think Matthews would take the captaincy off of Tavares. I really don't. I really believe that that's the kind of guy he is.
I don't understand why the media seems to really have a distaste for John Tavares. I mean, he plays like he's what he is. Like you need
Tim, the players were the same way back in junior.
Yeah,
they were the same way. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, remember you were doing the prospect game.
And he got hurt his shoulder. And we had the paper the next day that I sent a guy out to hurt him.
Yeah. But I will say this, though, because he was on the other team. He went in the corner, and a big defenseman hit him. And your bench all...
Yeah, they all cheered.
They all cheered.
Yeah, I never understood it.
I think the one thing with the kids, what happened there was he was the first one to ask to be in junior at 15 instead of 16.
Yeah. I don't know.
Should I tell that story? What happened with Logan Couture and John Tavares?
Yeah.
So you and I went out and watched Tavares when he was playing 15, when he was with the Toronto Marlies, right? You remember him, and he was ready for junior at that time.
Yeah, he was ready.
He was ready.
He was a big guy.
He was big, and so what happened was he asked to go into the draft at 15, and he had to get special permission from from David Branch in the league, and they originally said no. And then what happened was Logan Couture was supposed to go number 1 to Oshawa, and Oshawa says we're going to take you number 1. So what happens in like the OHL draft is that everybody knows they're taking Logan Couture number 1.
Keeping the word.
Right, keeping the word. So then the next team says to the guy, okay, we're going to take you. And everybody knows who's going to go second. And then the third team team picking, they say, okay, we're going to take you. So they the first, say, 3 or 4 drafts in the OHL, the kids know they're being drafted and who they're being drafted by. So the night before the draft, the OHL changed their mind and let Tavares
because he was big enough.
Because he was big enough and could have played and all that. Logan Couture, we thought, well, okay, Logan Couture will go second because he was by far, he was the head, he was the consensus number 1 pick. And he starts to fall because they say we're taking John Tavares. Yeah. So the second place team, this team that's taken second, they stick to their word and take their next guy. Yeah. And the third team picking, they stick to their word and take this guy. So they were being honorable, saying they take the kid. So Logan Couture, he falls to, I think, 6th or 7th. Yeah. And he goes to Ottawa with your buddy.
Brian Kilray.
Right. Who's
the most winning coach ever in hockey, junior hockey, and who put more guys in the National Hockey League than anybody.
So we're in the OHL room, and we're saying, man, that Logan Couture, he is so lucky. He went from Oshawa, which was a bit of a gong show back then, and he gets to go to Brian Kilray. He must be so happy. He's so lucky. So we call the first round, we call the kids to say, congratulations, welcome to the OHL. So the older guy goes, I don't know, let me call. So the oldest scout calls, and Logan Couture's dad just rips him a new one. And So our scout's going, well, Mr. Couture, you got to look, you got to. So now our scout's getting a little bit mad because he's really getting ripped. Yeah. And he goes, you're going to Ottawa. You're going to Brian Kilray. He goes, you're going to Ottawa. So I go, okay, well, and he says, well, he's never going to play in the OHL. And the father's, he'll never play in the OHL and all that. And he hangs up. And I remember the scout going, that guy should get on his knees and thank God that he's going to Brian Kilray.
Brian Kilray.
Yeah.
But what did Brian Kilray say in the...
Oh, so there was a call-in, right? Like they called in draft, and Brian Kilray goes, the Ottawa 67th with the 7th pick overall, I think it was, are happy and rather surprised to be able to pick Logan Couture. So that was good. So you had a situation where you had Johnny Busick in Boston.
And Johnny Busick and I didn't get along. I remember he played an exhibition game against us, and I was still playing. And he played a long time. And I'm going to the box. I was going to the box, and he said, we heard you were a backstabber and everything like that. And I turned around, and I stopped and turned around fast. Your back is not to me. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. But anyhow.
So Busick got hurt, and then, so who did you make captain?
I made Wayne Cashman. And he said, I remember in New York, I phoned him in New York, and he was in his room by himself. And Cash said, Cash, I made you the captain. He says, I don't want to be captain. I said, I don't care if you want to be or not. You're going to be the captain. And he was the captain. He was the best captain I ever had.
Yeah, I remember you told me that he was really good at giving the refs heck. He
let on. He was picking stuff off his stick. But you know what? I remember I got picked captain in Rochester. I got picked, I think at 18 out of 20. And I remember Joe Crozier coming out of the restroom in the back. All right, get this captaincy straightened out. And he threw all of it. And the next time was 20 out of 20. I voted for myself.
So when you were captain, like what was your main...
I remember in the bus, when in the buses, and we stopped. All right, everybody in at 11:30, and Cherry, I want to see you in my suite. And, and I was going up to get heck. He never give me a heck.
No.
But he let on, he'd give me a heck. He was pretty good. Joe Crozier was pretty good.
You said Punchto was the best coach.
Best coach I ever played for was Punch Imlach. He's the smartest guy. Of course, Joe learned from him.
Okay, Dad, so we got our next question is from Knuckles KO. I wonder if that's Knuckles Nyland. No, I don't think so.
No.
Grapes, did you see the video of Rempe? He's that big guy from the New York Rangers working on his fighting skills with George Laraque. And what do you think of that?
I don't think it's a good idea. And I'll tell you why I don't think it's a good idea. The National Hockey League let on that everything is spontaneous. You don't train to be a fighter. I don't think the National Hockey League would be too happy.
No, I think Rempe's setting himself up to be, if he hurts somebody, to be really suspended.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No. Remember that, to tell that story about George Laraque when he was in Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
And you and Ron were sitting up and he came up and sat with you guys.
When Ron and I used to go to the games, and we'd go that morning and we'd sit away at the top. And Ron couldn't understand that. He'd be down there running around in the dressing room and all that. And I said, don't you see, those guys think you're a floater. They think they like the rest of the guys. Sit up way up here with me, and don't be running around in the dressing room and everything like that. So I remember George Laraque come all the way up, and he said everybody loves to play against us.
He was with Edmonton at the time.
Yeah, he was with Edmonton at the time. I said, George, don't you think it'd be better if everybody hated playing against you guys? I never thought of that. Funny how you remember things like that.
Yeah. Dad, we'd like to thank our sponsor, NorthstarBets.com. They're a proudly Canadian brand and one of the best places to play in Canada. NorthstarBets.com has everything you're looking for. A sportsbook with built-in betting, insight, analysis, slots, live dealer tables, and exceptional customer service. So get into the action now at NorthstarBets.com, and NorthstarBets.com not available in Ontario. And everybody was betting on the soccer. You don't watch that soccer, do you?
I don't watch soccer.
No.
I do not watch soccer when they fall down, and it showed that It's like the television is against soccer. They show them not getting hurt.
Yeah, no, they fall around. Well, the one funny one was the guy. I forget. I forget. I think it was Argentina. The guy fell down and was rolling around like he blew out his knee, and the guy never touched him. And then the guy kicked the ball to him and hit him in the back with the soccer ball. It just like not hard, and he started rolling around like he broke his back. So, but I got to tell you, Dad. It's kind of getting into the finals. Guys snapping their head back and touching their lips.
Hockey is starting to get that stuff in it too, and they start looking for a little bit of blood in the tooth.
Yeah,
I remember we would never show we were hurt.
Yeah, like baseball.
Yeah, baseball. When they get hit with a ball, they won't touch that ball. And when they get to first base after a while, oh boy,
you can see. There was that big fight in Yankees in Baltimore the other day. Guys were throwing, but the one guy threw the ball, was over 90 miles an hour, right at the guy's head.
They throw it pretty good.
Okay, Dad, our next question is from Broadway Blue 1994. So that 1994, I guess I looked that up. That's the last time the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup. It says, Dad, Glenn Sather announced his retirement from hockey this past week. Do you have any stories of Glenn Sather?
Well, read what you wrote down.
He was born in High River, Alberta. I forgot. He played 10 seasons in the National Hockey League.
Did.
And you remember that one picture, eh?
I remember that one picture. He had about 8 stitches on his forehead.
Yeah.
It was a beauty.
He won 4 Stanley Cups with the Oilers as coach, and then he won 5 Stanley Cups as the president and GM of the Oilers.
I remember walking by him, and he was standing outside the dressing room, and I said, your team's not hitting the way it did. He said, why don't you go and tell him? And he thought I'd go in, and be a nice guy.
So he went in the dressing room, the Oilers dressing room?
Yeah. And I went in and I said, you fucking guys, you want to win the easy way now and all that stuff. Anyhow.
Yeah. I remember you told me the story one time you were in big trouble, and then one of the things on Hockey Night in Canada, you were in big trouble.
Oh, what did I?
I don't know what it was. One of the many.
It was the old arena, in Calgary, and it was black. And I heard this voice out of a clear blue sky, and it was him. And he says, "I hear you're going to get fired by." I said, "Well, I was many times I was in trouble," and. He said, well, you got a job with us with scouting anyhow, if you ever do get fired.
Yeah.
Well, which made me feel pretty good.
I think
I would have taken a big cut in the salary.
Yeah. I think one of the funniest things, though, that you did on Coach's Corner was because of him. You were...
well, we went to a neighbor of his, and he had a bull terrier. And I had a picture taken when I said, now look, I don't want this here to get in the paper. Blue
it was the front page of the Edmonton Journal,
and got the front page here. And
so you went on Coach. It was pretty funny because you went on Coach's Corner, and at the end of the Coach's Corner next week, Ron said, "Don," he goes, "I know you're in real trouble at home. Blue is quite upset that you took a picture with another bull terrier and she's heartbroken." Yeah. What did you say?
I said, that bitch doesn't mean a thing to me. Blue, I just want you to know. Imagine if I said that now.
Yeah.
I thought it was rather clever.
Yeah. But Glenn Sather, I always remember he always liked smoking those cigars. And
boy, he still smokes. He doesn't smoke them now, but he'd have it going.
Yeah, boy, like if the game was tight, he'd be chewing on it. Okay, this one is from JKMM.
What's his name?
I don't know, JKMM. I don't know what that stands for. It says, hey, Grapes, what was the most memorable goal you scored in your career? I looked it up. You know what? Your best year, you had 13 goals.
13 goals.
You'd make about $8 million in the National Hockey League.
I'm making about $8 million.
You were making what, $4,500?
$4,500. I made $4,500 for 10 years.
So what was your most memorable goal?
My most memorable goal was my last goal. I never forgot my last goal. I was in the Boston Gardens, and there was nobody there.
So you were with Rochester.
I was with Rochester.
And what was the Boston team? Boston Braves.
Boston Braves, yeah. And our power play was so awful. He said, sure, you go out and play left point. And I'd sat there for 3 periods. And my legs were like lead. I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, don't let me make a fool of myself out here. And puck come right back to me in the face-off. I deked to the left, and the guy went to the right. I deked to the right, and the guy went to the left. And I went in on the goaltender, and I deked go to my left. I don't know what. Come to think of it, maybe they let me score. Anyhow, he went the other way, and I put it in. I skated right to the box, and I sat down, as if to say, if you had to put me out here before, we might have scored some goals. Stupid.
Uh-huh. Didn't somebody on the bench say, "Watch out for that number"?
Oh yeah, and across Gary Peters. I think it was Gary Peters. One of the Peters was his last name. He says, "Watch out for that number 2. He is really something out there."
That might have been one of your last shifts.
Come to think of it, I think it was. It was near the end of the season.
Yeah, and then it was. No, I think what happened was that they didn't play because of the age rule, and then Adams got punched in the back of the head, and you were made coach shortly thereafter.
Oh, that's a long story.
Yeah,
we can get into that one. Anyhow, that was I remember scoring that goal this way, and this way. I think the guys let me score on purpose.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that.
No, was that the trip you first saw Bobby Orr?
I remember the first time I saw Bobby Orr. I couldn't believe when I was seeing.
Yeah, because you guys was at a practice, right?
Yeah, and I'd seen him on television and everything, and he was like a forward and a defenseman and a forward. And I thought, this guy.
Well, Uncle Rich, I remember you saying Uncle Rich, he was with Bobby Orr in Orr's rookie training camp.
Yeah, he was at his rookie camp, and they had a picture taken of him, and the 5 of them were lined up there, and there was Bobby Orr sitting in there.
Did Uncle Rich tell you about him?
He phoned me, and we talked on the phone. He says, "Where do you see this now?" I think it was some other number, and he says, "Where do you see this kid?" He said, "He is really something, but he's going to get hurt." And I said, "How come?" He leaves his leg, and I knew exactly what he meant. Was he went on one leg and he left the other one for the other guy to hit, and Marcel Pronovo was the first guy that really nailed him.
Okay, Dad, we're going to end with another trivia question. This one's kind of cool. From Jeffrey G. on Facebook. He goes, Don, I'm going to give you a trivia question. Which player had the biggest plus-minus, who was the biggest plus in one game?
I never forgot that with Tom Bladen.
Right, with Philadelphia.
With Philadelphia. And
he was plus 10 in one game.
One game. Plus 10. Plus 10. I mean, you'd be lucky if you're plus 2. Anyhow, and I remember one time there was a big write-up in the paper about him, about in the afternoon, and he hadn't had a fight yet, and everybody. Yeah,
because that was the Broad Street Bully days and everything.
Broad Street Bullies. I remember. I hope he doesn't start something with us. And sure enough, I remember. I remember this, and it was in the far side. And he dropped the gloves, looked up, and it was John Wensink. What a guy to start your fight.
Well, he won. Yeah, I remember that because he wasn't like that though. He was just a guy.
No, he was a good hockey player.
He was a good hockey player. Just moved the puck and all that. But he was plus 10, and they beat the Cleveland Barons 11-1.
Man, imagine plus 10.
So you know what Brian Kilray said about plus minus, which makes a lot of sense. Again, we're talking about Brian Kilray winning his coach in the junior hockey. He said he thinks plus minus, and what he did with his team is it should start fresh every month.
Yeah.
Because he says you could have a bad month and be minus 20,
yeah,
and then have a good month.
Well, when you face off in your end, you always put on your best defensive players.
So those guys are going to get the bigger minus.
You know, those guys, I never looked at my plus and minuses.
No. Well, but that's what Brian said. He goes, what he does is he starts it over at the beginning of the month, because you could have a bad month and be minus 20 and have a good month and be plus 10, and then you look at your plus minus and you're minus 10.
Yeah.
What was the one story you told where you were like plus 4
Oh, I was with Daryl Sly, and we were +4. He said, "Geez, Daryl, why did you say that?" I said, "Because," he said, "I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that." He said it, and bing, bing, bing. I see, Daryl, I told you so. I don't believe in that. Well, I guess we got to go now, and I say toodaloo.